This is an armchair. The armchair is a place a lot of us find comfortable. Somewhere we can think and theorize and make sense of the world. The problem is, the armchair can be a dangerous place to spend too much time. It's great for intellectual exercise, but the more time we spend theorizing about the world, the less time we spend actually observing it. And out of the comforts of the armchair emerges the most problematic figure, the armchair theorist. The armchair theorist makes an awful lot of assumptions. Assumptions about how the world must be, and assumptions about how the world must work. They fall into the trap of trying to explain the world without first really understanding it. Above all, the armchair theorist moves through life under the illusion of understanding, detached from the reality of the world. The Great Migration offers an example of the armchair theorist at work. In the decades spanning 1915 to 1975, millions of African Americans left the American South in hopes of a better life. And for a long time, it was argued that the shifting economics of cotton was the driving force behind this mass exodus. Between the boll weevil and the mechanical cotton harvester, it had to be the economics of cotton that forced people to flee. Yet, Isabel Wilkerson reveals another perspective in her book, The Warmth of Other Suns. She found that cotton can only possibly offer an explanation for migrants who were picking cotton in the first place. It can't explain the motivations of migrants from states like Virginia or Tennessee, where cotton was not the main industry. And in her interviews with over 1,200 migrants, not one of them mentioned the boll weevil or the economics of cotton. Wilkerson admits that this in itself does not mean these things were not unseen forces in their lives. But the use of the economics of cotton as an explanation for the decades-long migration of millions falls short. It's the sort of understanding an armchair theorist would arrive at. Perhaps a more relatable example can be drawn from Robert Caro's experience as a Nieman Fellow at Harvard. Caro was taking an urban planning course taught by two professors who were experts in highways and why highways get built where they're built. These professors were using a big, long math equation to figure this out, and the equation kept growing longer and longer. As he was copying the equation down, Caro had the thought, no, that's not why highways get built where they're built. They get built there because Robert Moses wants them there. Robert Moses, of course, was the polarizing city planner who amassed and wielded incredible power over development in mid-century New York. Anyone who's taken an economics course will find this relatable. The field is rife with graphs and formulas that illustrate how consumers make decisions. But when is the last time we used a formula to decide which fruit to buy at the store? Right, never. Complex equations and formulas offer an illusion of understanding, but the assumptions they rely upon are really quite fragile. One thinker who took particular issue with armchair theorists in the world of economics was Herbert Simon. Simon saw that economists had a difficult time going out and looking at the world until they had a theory about it. To explain something in the real world, economists started with assumptions, and those assumptions often emerged from the mind of the theorist sitting in their armchair. This is why decades of economic research rests upon the assumption of human rationality. Human rationality is a beautiful idea, but it's not actually all that helpful for understanding why we do the things we do. Simon developed a unique perspective in that he was involved in many different fields. And what he realized was that a lot of successful science was done by looking at the world, getting puzzled by it, getting data, and then developing and testing a theory. He saw an order to understanding the world. One must first look at the world, get puzzled, and then try to understand it. And that order is important. To understand the world, we must first observe it. And it's awfully hard to see the world while we're theorizing from the armchair. The problem of the armchair theorist is not unique to economics. Cozy armchairs can be found across a wide range of fields. In fact, it's likely that each of us has taken on the role of the armchair theorist from time to time. And that's okay. It's only natural to speculate. But if we truly want to understand the world, then we have to recognize when we're spending too much time in the armchair. A great example to keep in mind is that of the French philosopher Montaigne. Over time, he is said to have shifted his studies from poets to historians and biographers because he wanted to know what people actually did, rather than what someone imagined they might do. He wanted to see the world as it is, and so should we. We must work to do the essential work of observation. Look at the world, get puzzled, and then try to understand it. The order is important, and it's a difficult one to follow from the comforts of an armchair.